Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Nerds podcast. I am back on British soil. It's a good feeling. And we are also back for another podcast. Today, we're going to be talking first about the West Indies India T20 series because it's actually been really entertaining. I don't think we've covered any of the T20s on here yet. I think we just stopped on the ODIs. So it means that we've got 3 to go at. But we'll probably skim over the first 2 because they set it up really nicely for the third. Because in the first T20 that we had, and bear in mind that there are more, this isn't the end of the series. I think there are 5 in this series.
There are 5, yeah.
But the first one, India found quite easy, it seemed. They just kind of walked it, really. What was it? India got 190
for 6, yeah.
And then West Indies couldn't even get over 130. So that was a walk in the park for India. I think standout was Dinesh Karthik, which is so good to see. I love DK runs. I think he's one of my favorite players in the world at the moment.
Well, Rohit found form as well, which I think was he needed as well. So I think that was an important knock for Rohit as well. Because he's not been playing his best cricket of late, I would say.
And then in the second T20, interesting things happened because Obed McCoy was incredible. He took career best 6 for 17 in a T20, getting all the big names. I'm just going to read out the names he got because he got Sharma, Yadav, Jadeja, Karthik, Ashwin, and Kumar. Like that's quite a good rap sheet.
I wouldn't complain if I got that.
Yeah, I'd be feeling all right. And it completely crippled India. Something quite interesting, little touch point, little insight onto the Indian mindset, I think, based on that game, because they lost a couple of early wickets and yet they kept going hard at the top. What was your opinion, or what is your opinion on that mindset? Because we've kind of seen that from England, but India seem to generally do it better.
Well, England seem to go hot at the top, and then when they crumble, keep crumbling. Whereas I think with the Indian team, like you saw that Sharma and Sky came out swinging. Then they lost a few quick wickets. I mean, they lost all of their middle order. And it was that partnership at the end of Karthik and Ashwin that really had them up. I mean, to be honest, Karthik and Ashwin only faced 29 balls between them. So it wasn't even like a quarter of the innings.
Are you talking about the first game here?
Yeah, I'm talking about the first game.
Yeah.
Why were you talking about the second game?
Yeah, I was. Because after they lost the first few wickets in the second game, they just kept on going hard and kept on losing wickets. Like Rishabh Pant is a perfect example. They were 61 for 4 by the time he went out, which was just after the power play. So they still got like 50 odd, like I think it was about 55 runs off the power play. But it was like, I think they'd lost 2 or 3 wickets in the power play as well. So it was an interesting
one. Had, yeah.
And like Rishabh Pant with his 24 off 12, it kind of reminded me of Liam Livingstone, where it's a very, like, you've got 20 odd runs at a strike rate of 200. Whoop-de-doo, brilliant. But you haven't taken the game deep enough.
And I think they fell a bit foul to that because it didn't work. Like they lost that. They lost in the end. They lost too many wickets and couldn't consolidate and get a big enough total that would, challenge West Indies really. I mean, getting bowled out in 19.4 overs, it's not what you really want in that T20. And as you say, there was a bit of swinging from that middle order in that second T20 with Pant, Hardik and Jadeja, but no one really stuck around. I mean, Jadeja was there for 30 balls and got 27. It wasn't like a match-winning innings. It was more of a consolidation at that point. I think the main story about that second T20 was they were just out-bowled. Like, Obed McCoy, like you just have, when you have a bowler that has one of those matches, there's just not a lot you can do as a batting team. Like if you've got someone that's, everything seems to be finding the edge, or everything seems to be hitting the stumps, like it's just
he was
hard.
outstanding. He was absolutely outstanding. And despite Odean Smith's best efforts, they still managed to keep them down to 138. And I think Odean Smith, he's going to be somebody I want to talk about after we kind of summarize this third match as well. But the villain for the second T20, the reason India lost really was Avesh Khan. He had an absolute stink with the ball, and he bowled, I think they needed 10 off the last over, and he bowled a no ball, which that's criminal. Don't do it. just do not that. Yeah. So everybody else went, like Ravi Ashwin was the most expensive other than Avesh Khan, and he went to 8 and over. Avesh Khan went at 13.28 economy.
I mean, so it's not great, is it?
But if we come on to the latest match, India have taken a 2-1 lead in the series, and it's almost all because of Surya Kumar Yadav. He opened, which he's opened a couple of times now, and I don't hate it.
I like it.
I think it's quite cool.
I'm a big fan of it. Big fan of it.
What does this mean for like KL Rahul? Because the Sharma Rahul opening partnership has been insanely good recently, but I think being challenged?
I think that the thing about world cricket is that you're never really secure. Like, I think that's about when you're at this level of cricket, no one's spot is ever 100% theirs. Like, yes, a few players can be like the designated first player on the team sheet, but I think it's just highlighting that it's such a competitive game, especially to get into that India team. Like, it's so competitive to stick around there. I mean, KL Rahul's been out of the game for a while, hasn't he? And at the minute, you're beginning to think, well, do India need Sky because need KL because they've got options. They've got Sky, they've got Shikhar Dhawan, and they've got Prithvi Shaw. They've got so many of these guys who are really showing themselves that they can do really well in things like the IPL. They're really, putting a name for themselves there. Like Deepak Hooda got himself into this side that.
And he's been brilliant as well. He's such a flexible player.
Good, but it surprised me a bit that he was there. I think the one thing that India have lacked against West Indies has been a bit of their bowling, but they haven't got Jadeja and Shami, who are the two that have absolutely wrecked England. So when those two who are being rested, I imagine for the World Cup, come back into that side.
Do you mean Bumrah and Shami? Sorry.
Bumrah and Shami, not Jadeja and Shami. I mean Bumrah. Yes, Jadeja. Well, Jadeja didn't play this one, but played the last two.
Yeah.
But Bumrah and Shami. I mean, Jadeja didn't even play the third T20. Do you think that was a bit of a rest and rotate, or
yeah, quite possibly. I also
think it is his performance.
I think they're experimenting. Like, they've got 5 T20s and a T20 World Cup on the horizon. Looking forward, England have got 7 T20s in Pakistan against Pakistan. That's just going to be an experimental time. So, yeah, I think like you're going to see this with quite a few teams. They're just going to have a look at different players. If we look at West Indies, they've been giving Devon Thomas a little go, who actually has been very impressive. They've been kind of just having a look, seeing what players do, who's good. Dominic Drakes, I think they played in the last game, which I think he's quite an exciting prospect. I think he could do very good things for West Indies. I think the same goes for India. I think that's why they've been trialing different people at the top, such as Surya Kumar Yadav and Rishabh Pant. For me, at the moment, the person that makes way for KL Rahul on his return is Shreyas Iyer. Because I think Surya Kumar Yadav is so good that you can just stick him at 3. and have that KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma opening partnership, because they're just so good. Like, the class that they have is insane. For the next T20 could be interesting because Sharma retired hurt today. He basically swung too hard, and I think just like an ab fell out or something. And yeah, so he's retired hurt, so he might not play the next game. In which case, what do you want to see as the opening partnership for India?
You know what? I'd stick up Deepak Hooda. Like, he's performed that well, I think. He almost deserves that spot. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's opened in the past for India as well.
He has. I believe he opened in their mini series against Ireland, and he did incredibly well.
I mean, if you look at the rest of the squad in terms of who could come in, KL Rahul's withdrawn, he's hurt. You've got Sanju Samson, but I wouldn't put him as an opener. And there's not really another candidate for opening the batting. Probably will be Ishan Kishan as a like for like, because he is an opener and that wicketkeeper spot. That's really all there is in that squad, though, because that would fit that opening, because Gaikwad's not been taken this time.
They have experimented with Rishabh Pant opening as well, which I think
I'm not sure that's the right call.
Yeah, Rishabh Pant, Surya Kumar Yadav opening could be quite an exciting power play, though. That could be very fun. But yeah, it's been a very interesting series. So the two things I just want to touch on at the end is with bowling. Avesh Khan kind of gone off the boil a little bit in the last couple of games, but I'm sure he'll come back. He's a young player, so you've got a right to have a couple of games that don't go your way. But I don't really want to focus on him. I want to focus on my boy Arshdeep, because he's sick. He's so fun. He's such a little badass. I love the fact that he can nail Yorkers consistently, and he's realized that is how you do well in international cricket. And consistently we're seeing him do well at the death. He still hasn't really figured out how to bowl like in the power play. So that is, an area that he needs to work on potentially, because you don't just bowl 4 at the death. You kind of need to give your captain 1 or 2 at the front. So that's a little point to work on with Arshdeep. But yeah, I think I mentioned it earlier, and it is a negative thing, and it's another Punjab player, Odean Smith. I think the time has come for West Indies to find a different player. I mean, he didn't play this game, which I think is the right decision, because he isn't good enough as a bowler, and he's not good enough as a batsman. I think one day he could come good, and I really, really, really hope he does, because he's an absolute unit. So it'd be fun to watch him. But just to read you some stats.
I love a good stat.
I know you love a good stat. T20Is, bear in mind he's played 15, so it's a pretty decent sample size. He has an economy of 10.94. And looking at his T20 career, he's played 46 matches. His economy over all T20s is 9.57. He's not economical at all. So you kind of think, oh, well, he must be taking wickets then if he's getting in. At T20I level, so international level, he's averaging 42 with the ball. So he's not really taking wickets either. So quite how he's getting into these squads is interesting. It must be based on his batting. So then we scroll down and we look at his batting. Strike rate for T20Is is outstanding, in fairness to him, 145. However, he's averaging 10. That's not good enough. Odeon, like you can, fair enough, you can get a 10 off 6, but I don't know. I just don't think he's meriting his place. I think it's right that he's been dropped, and I would like to see somebody else come in and hopefully fulfill that bowling all-rounder spot, because this is West Indies we're talking about. Everybody's a bowling all-rounder. Every bowler is a bowling all-rounder because they're all brilliant. So, yeah, that's my little rant. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a shame. I think an issue that West Indies have had, though, is that they've got a bit of a dearth of players. Like, I don't think West Indies have got a plethora. They've not got all the players that they want to call on. They've not got the Sun on the Ryans. They've not got the Andre Russells. They've not got the Karen Pollards that they want to be calling on because of issues with contracting and the like. So there is that issue there that they're not able to get the sides out that they want to get out. And I think that's because that's a big issue for them. But yeah, it's just a shame, isn't it, that a team like the West Indies is struggling this much for top quality talent. I mean, the obvious replacement for Odean Smith is probably Romario Shepherd.
Yeah, I agree.
But then we've talked a lot. Well, I've talked a lot about how also I don't think potentially Romario Shepherd deserves his place either. Like, I think that, you know, it's really tough because they haven't got enough players to fill all those spots. I'm really glad Alzari Joseph's made it in. I think that's really, really deserved. And I'm really glad that Obed McCoy is performing quite well. And it's been nice to see Jason Holder do a bit better as well. But yeah, I definitely think they're just struggling with that. I think like Dominic Drake's, because I'm just going through all the West Indian players now, who's also come in almost to replace Odean Smith here as well. Just again, I wouldn't put him up as that top quality world class player. Like, I wouldn't see him going round 3 of the IPL.
Yeah, we'll see. I think that's the thing. They've got a lot of young potential players, and I think they could come good, and I hope they do. So we will follow the remaining 2. I think it is in this T20 series.
Yeah,
we'll also be looking at the 100, because hopefully lots of exciting things will be happening. Just quickly touching on that. Matthew Mott, new head coach of England's white ball setup, has said, go for it in the 100, because if you do well, you could get picked for England, because we've been pretty shocking. I don't think we've summed up against South Africa, but in conclusion, we suck. We either win by a lot or lose by a ton. That's kind of where England are at. So yeah, like we will, pick out some highlights from the 100, I think. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And other than that, thank you very much for watching. Thank you so much for all the support. The views have been good recently. The subscribers have been brilliant. You're all amazing. So thank you so much. Send in your Cricket Nerds questions. And other than that, we'll see you guys later. Goodbye.
Bye.